is the Herdline News.
In the words of Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last, Colin.
That's why that was just pretend in a movie.
I don't know. I think it's words to live by. So the Chiefs had a 28-14 lead over the Chargers in the fourth quarter, but allowed them to climb back in the game with 2 late touchdowns, then lost after a successful 2-point conversion attempt with 4 seconds to play. In the end, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid cited the team's penalties, 10 for 66 yards, as a reason for the loss.
Listen, we shot ourselves in the foot here. So with the penalties, you can't do that in a game like this. It ended up haunting us in that fourth quarter. In the National Football League, you got to be a bit resilient. That's what you do. You learn from your mistakes. That's real. And then you get yourself, become a better team.
Well, let me just say this. It was not a well-officiated game. In the first half, the Chiefs got hosed on several calls, and in the second half late, the Chargers got hosed on 2 awful calls. So in the end, it all worked out the same. I don't get too worked up on officiating. It was not good last night, but in the end, it still came down to one team made a play on a 2-point conversion and one team whiffed on the coverage. That's what it came to. The game came down to that play.
I actually think it came down to before that. Patrick Mahomes has to get a first down and drive the ball down and keep the ball out of Philip Rivers' hands.
That would help.
I mean, it's not. I'm not putting that game on Patrick Mahomes. Actually, no. I think he was great, and in the end, like you said,
Philip Rivers was great too.
What kind of coverage is that?
Yeah,
I don't even know if Philip Rivers was great too. I think that you have to play defense. Patrick Mahomes doesn't play that side of the ball.
Yeah,
you kind of got to cover someone in that spot. It's a 2-point conversion, but really, the officiating got to a point where I felt like every play had a flag on it.
Yeah, there were like 17.
Can they play?
Yeah, it was not great. And by the way, we've seen this in some big games. I think Dean Blandino was sorely missed. We hired him. They need to hire him back, and I love Dean, but they're missing his leadership. It's like anything else in the world. We find this all the time in sports at every level, high school, college, and pro. Leadership is worth what you pay it. You can complain about Nick Saban's $11 million a year. They're not the same program without him. Leadership is worth paying for. So all you bosses out there, people who complain about bosses, the NFL lost Dean Blandino, and they're not the same sport. Like the officiating's not as good.
It's a lot. It's hard to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care about this penalty. It's too much. But I do think the Chiefs has to be better in situational ball. Like that's not acceptable. They would have clinched the AFC West and had a first-round bye with that win, and now they put themselves in a bad situation. They're still the 1 seed, even though they have the same record as the Chargers because they're in the tiebreaker. But they've got Seattle and Oakland coming up. So last night the Lakers lost to the Rockets 126-111. James Harden had 19 free throw attempts, double what he averages for the season. And Lonzo spoke after the game, speaking of officiating.
He's a great player, and it's very hard to guard him. You can't touch him. So the biggest thing is not to foul him and not to let him get easy threes. But he got hot towards the end. I say it's tough. He shot multiple free throws today, so you just can't touch him.
A couple possessions where I think you were defending with your hands behind your back. Were you trying to kind of make it a point to the officials to
try not to foul? They was calling it tight today, so I was trying to get my hands out of there.
So LeBron and Lonzo were guarding the Rockets with their hands behind their backs.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was bad officiating. And for the record, it's in Houston. The crowd gets going. Harden's hot, and the officials get swayed. And, the officials in basketball, the fans are right on the floor. You see it in college and pro, where a guy gets hot, and the officials kind of get into the momentum of the player. And Harden was it was a joke. Like, it was, by the way, it was worse officiating in that game than the football game, but nobody was watching this one.
Right. Well, Luke Walton and Kyle Kuzma both got called for text for arguing with the refs, but this is a league-wide thing. This isn't just in Houston. Like, they get a ridiculous amount of calls. Now, if you look at the numbers, the Lakers actually got more fouls.
But Harden gets treated.
But Harden. It's ridiculous the way that Harden gets treated. They are right. Like, it's impossible to guard him.
Yeah,
everything gets called.
He has a step-back move that a lot of people in the NBA, coaches, executives in the NBA have said, you're not officiating that play correctly. He's traveling. He's fouling. So there's always been an NBA player. Karl Malone had a couple of moves where he'd throw his body at you and he weighed 270 and he would initiate contact. And Karl Malone lived at the free throw line. There's always an NBA player who has an odd style, and the officials get it's such an overpowering style, they just allow it. Michael Jordan, by the way, traveled Magic palmed the ball his whole career. Michael traveled constantly, but the officials sort of like, you're the artist. It's a created, established move.
I don't think that they should overcall it, but I think this is a league-wide complaint with James Harden and the Rockets. So, it's obviously something you need to look into. Yeah. Finally, Tom Brady is 41, and the Patriots are the 2 seed in the AFC. He was the MVP last year at 40 years old. Yeah. And Drew Bledsoe gave his thoughts on why Tom Brady just can't quit football. He said he's not playing because he needs to prove anything. He's playing because he wants to play. You do it as long as you can. There's nothing more that he enjoys in the world than playing and preparing to play. If he was worried about legacy, he would have retired a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't understand the obsession with talking about Tom Brady's retirement. What is that?
Yeah. By the way, Drew Brees is doing the same thing, almost as old. Let's let him play. They're having fun.
Perhaps he was asked about it, but we've been doing this for 5 years.
Listen, Joy, I'm going to do this until my teeth fall out. I'll do this. I will be on the air at 84, and I'll be like, listen, congratulations to Zion Williamson. He just won a 32nd NBA championship. Coming up, a spot by Legal Zoom.
I really hate when those whippersnappers wear their hats backwards.
And my teeth will fall out. If you do something, you're paid for it, and you love it, they'll have to get a crane and pull me out of here.
He's not 84. He won the MVP last season. It's been going on for I think a solid 5 years now, and it's enough already. And then when he's retired, you're all going to be talking about how much you wish he was back. Yeah. Just let him play.
I will be doing this show so long, at some point, my lead story will not be the NFL. It will be esports. And I'll be like, let's talk about Jackson against Bobby, who played in their mother's basement, Atari. And that'll be my lead story.
Esports is very
It's growing. It's very popular. All right, Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.